Hi, my name is Linda Hollander, and I want you to imagine something. Imagine if you could make your dreams a reality while somebody else foots the bill. Imagine if you could grow faster without draining your own resources. Imagine if you can have a business partner that is completely vested in your success. Does this sound like fantasy? Well, it's really not. And here is my promise to you. I'm going to show you how to tap into a $20 billion cash reservoir that is growing every year. I'm going to share success stories of other people just like you who receive $10,000 to $100,000 from corporate sponsors. Before continuing, I want to share this. The results I'm about to show you are not typical of most people, and I'm not promising similar results for you. We haven't met yet, so I don't really know your situation or your circumstances, but what I do know is that I only work with clients who I can help get massive results. I also know that ordinary action leads to ordinary results, and massive action leads to massive results. So if you're the type of person who likes to take massive action, then you're going to get a whole lot out of this training. Here's the success story of Brian Kaplowitz. He wanted to host an event to cater to young entrepreneurs, and he raised $100,000 to fund his event and his business with corporate sponsors. Now, here's something important that I want you to know. Brian did not need the entire $100,000 for his event. He only needed about $25,000 for his event. He used the rest of the money, which was $75,000, to grow his business. So you can ask for more money than you need from corporate sponsors. And here are some of his clients and some of his sponsors: American Express, Denny's, Johnson & Johnson, and the Home Depot. Here's another success story. The gentleman's name is Ward Luty. He gets paid to travel as a spokesperson by NatureMade, who is his sponsor. So you can be a spokesperson for a company. He also got coverage in the Wall Street Journal, Business Week, U.S. News and World Report, and Redbook. Here's what sponsors will fund: your business, and I work with a whole lot of entrepreneurs. Your event, and you'll see a whole lot of events are sponsored. Your speaking, your book, or your show. If you want to write a book or do public speaking or have a radio or a television show, that could be sponsored. Your nonprofit, but I want to emphasize that you do not need to be a nonprofit to get sponsors. That's a myth out there. I have always been a for-profit business, and a lot of my clients are for-profit businesses. Your projects, if you want to do a film, a blog, a podcast, if your child is on a sports team or in a theater group, that can be sponsored. With sponsors, you can avoid the cash flow roller coaster. And anybody in business knows the cash flow roller coaster, because some months the money is just rolling in and birds are singing and there's rainbows and everything is beautiful. And then other months you are struggling to pay your expenses. So sponsors give you an additional revenue source, so you're not just focused on where that next client or that next donor is coming from. You could create profitable, life-changing events, and I want to emphasize the word profitable, because one of the biggest secrets in the seminar and the event industry is that people do these absolutely amazing events. Attendees give them rave reviews and say, "My life was totally transformed after coming to your event," and the person who put on that event lost money. This happens a lot. This is a tragedy that never has to happen, and I have never lost money on an event because all of my events have been sponsored. You can add creative funding for your dreams, and we're all taught to have big dreams, but we're not really taught how to fund those dreams. I want to tell you a little bit about me. My name is Linda Hollander, and I've kind of had two lives. I've had a life before corporate sponsors and a life after corporate sponsors. So before I knew about corporate sponsors, I was not in a good place. I was living in a tiny rent-controlled apartment. I had no money. I was completely worse than broke because I was in really, really serious debt. I was working, but I wasn't making enough money at my job, so I maxed out all of my credit cards. I would go down to that mailbox, and my hand would literally shake when I went to that mailbox in the morning because there were bills there I could never, ever afford to pay. In my personal life, I was in an abusive relationship with a man. And what led me down that path was that I really had absolutely no self-confidence and thought that that was what I deserved. But fortunately, one day I had an epiphany and I said, I don't want to live as a victim anymore. I want my life to make a difference. So I started my own business, and every good thing in my life happened when I started my business. I was able to fire my boss. I was able to dump the abusive boyfriend, and I met my husband, who is the kindest and the most gentle person in the world, and he is a constant source of love and support for me. I was able to travel the world. I was able to pay down my debt. I was able to buy my first home as a single woman and get out of that little tiny rent-controlled apartment. So I wanted to pay it forward and help other women get the skills to empower their lives through entrepreneurship, through learning how to operate a successful business. So I wanted to start the Women's Small Business Expo. And here are some photos from Women's Small Business Expo. We had the late, great Jim Rohn as one of our keynoters. We went international and had women from all over the world come. And here's some women from Australia. But I knew that in order to fund this big dream of mine, the Women's Small Business Expo, I needed corporate sponsors. My first sponsors were Bank of America, Walmart, and IBM. Now I want to emphasize that I was working from my kitchen table, sharing the table with my cat. I was a small micro business. I had no experience. I had never done an event in my life, and I had no fan base or audience. But I sold these sponsors on the concept. After that, I got Epson, the printer company, Wells Fargo, FedEx, Microsoft, HealthNet, American Airlines, and Stable. So I'm telling you my story so you can see that you can do this even if you're a small business, a small nonprofit, small event, and even if you're just starting out. You can also get great media coverage from corporate sponsors. And I think the reasons that people don't really realize their big dreams is number one, lack of capital, and number two, lack of exposure. You do not want to be the best kept secret. So I've been featured by Entrepreneur and Inc. magazine as the leading expert on corporate sponsors. And here I am on the NBC News. And I mean, imagine if I had to pay for that kind of publicity. It would be a lot of money. And paid advertising doesn't really have the same credibility that sponsorship does. Here's some of the sponsors that my students and clients have gotten, and over the years they've raised millions of dollars from major sponsors, and the list is really too long to include here, but I'm sure you're going to recognize many of the sponsors listed here. Here's some media appearances of my students and my clients. And you'll see that CBS is here and CNBC, the Wall Street Journal. Now, I often get asked if this works in Canada, and the answer is absolutely yes. And there's the Calgary Herald right there. I have clients all over the world. Would a company sponsor you? Well, believe it or not, you do have influence. You influence people to do things. You influence people to make buying decisions. And you're going to have even more influence as you grow your sponsored property. You can help a company grow their customer base. There is a natural attrition that happens with companies. People stop using the product or the service for one reason or another. So this is a prime directive to always be growing their customer base. You could also help a sponsor increase their brand loyalty so their clients and their customers don't go to the competition. You can help them connect to a target market. And this is why the Women's Small Business Expo was successful with sponsors, because women business owners are a big spending block of people who buy things. Community responsibility. If you're a nonprofit, this is one of the main benefits that you can offer your sponsors. And lastly, you can help a sponsor drive sales. What's in it for your sponsors? I'm going to give you some sponsor benefits. One of them is award presentations. And here I am with Citibank. So what we did was I went to the trophy shop and I printed up a Community Leader Award, presented it to Citibank live at one of my events, got a professional photographer to take the photo. We distributed this to the media, and Citibank distributed this internally to their employees, and their employees felt really good about working for Citibank because they won the Community Leader Award. Exposure, and exposure includes social media, email marketing, blog posts, podcasts, all of the touch points that you have with your community. Speaking opportunities, couponing, sampling, and on-site sales. When I was working with Staples as a sponsor, they gave out coupons, and the coupons drove traffic to both their online and their retail stores. And then branding to that target demographic. Demographics are really destiny in the sponsor world. Showing how she could deliver these benefits to her sponsors is how Joni Winberg managed to land Ocean Spray as a corporate sponsor. Joni is a speaker, a podcast, an event producer, and here she writes that Ocean Spray paid for her entire event. Imagine what a relief it would be knowing that your next event will be paid for by sponsors rather than having to dip into your own money and your own funds. Here are 3 steps to getting your sponsors. Number 1 is I want you to do a sponsor wish list. And remember that I told you that Bank of America was one of my first sponsors. Well, I was driving and I was in a traffic jam and I was cursing that traffic jam. But now I thank God for that traffic jam because I looked up and I saw a billboard for Bank of America. And I said, hey, maybe they could sponsor me. So I went back to my office. I put Bank of America on my sponsor wish list. This led to inspired action, which led to them becoming one of my first sponsors. So the sponsor wish list is really powerful. It all starts with a thought. You need an industry standard sponsor proposal. And if your proposal is not industry standard, you will not get funded by sponsors. Then the 3rd step is you contact sponsors and you negotiate those deals. What's in the sponsor proposal? The goals for the sponsors. So you're going to tell them, here's what I'm going to do for you. I'm going to educate people about your products and your services. I'm going to increase your brand awareness and your brand loyalty. I'm going to help you grow your customer base. I'm going to help you drive traffic and drive sales. Storytelling. Here is where our clients are very successful and not many other people are doing this. So you tell your story in the sponsor proposal. I have never had a company sponsor me. I have had a human being sponsor me. So you don't want to just put your pretty bio with all of your degrees and your awards and your accomplishments. You want to tell about your challenges. You really want to show your humanity. The sponsor benefits, exposure, impressions, etc. Marketing promotion. How are you going to get the word out about what you're doing? And then you're going to ask for the money. You're going to tell the sponsor the levels and the fees. What should you ask for from each sponsor? $10,000? $25,000? $50,000? And $100,000. And this is per year. So imagine how this can make a difference in what you do. Here's a sponsor success story of a lady named Amanda. And in a lot of areas in the world, people have issues with water. There's a lot of contamination in the water, and it leads to a lot of health issues and even death. So she's helping to bring clean water to people in need, and she raised over $175,000 in sponsorships. I want to emphasize once again that you do not need to be a nonprofit to get sponsors, but this is how it worked for her. Here's another great sponsor success story of a guy named Harlan Kilstein, and he absolutely loves his little white Pomeranian named Kalba. So he started the Doggington Post, and this is basically a web blog, so you don't need to do events to get sponsors. So we got him some pet food sponsors, Freehand Dog Food, Merrick, but we also got him Black & Decker because people have to clean up after their pets. And Black & Decker makes appliances that help you do that. So, I mean, imagine the credibility of putting a major top-tier sponsor like Black & Decker on your website, on your marketing materials. You're going to get more attendees if you do events. You're going to get more people coming to your website. You're going to get more clients, and you're going to get more sponsors because one sponsor leads to another. So at this point, I want to ask you something. Do you want to be my next success story? Do you want to be like Brian, who raised $100,000 for his business and his events? Do you want to be like Ward, who gets paid to travel around the country and be a paid spokesperson for his sponsors? Do you want to be like the many success stories here who got companies to fund their dreams? Do you want to be my next success story? Great. Here's what I'm doing, and I'm inviting you to join me. I'm looking for a limited number of highly motivated people who want to raise $10,000 to $100,000 from corporate sponsors. I want to work with you to craft a custom killer sponsor proposal that's going to get you some great sponsors. Having helped clients raise millions of sponsorship dollars, I could tell you that the single biggest reason the corporate sponsors don't give you funding is because of a poorly written sponsor proposal. Now, the second biggest reason is that people don't know how to pitch the sponsors. They don't know the right languaging. They don't know who to contact in the company to really make it happen. So I want to hold your hands through this critical process so you can get the money and the funding that you deserve. So this is for you if you're a business owner, if you're a coach, a consultant, a speaker, or an author, if you're a nonprofit, if you're doing events, or if you're doing a project such as a podcast, a film, a show, a blog, or something else. You could be starting out or you could be already established. Corporate sponsors are open to working with you in both situations. As I said, I can only work with a limited number of highly committed people, and it also has to be a fit on both sides. To start the process, please click on the link below to fill out a short questionnaire. This questionnaire will help me better understand your goals so I can better determine if it's a fit for us to meet together. Again, please fill out the short questionnaire below to get the process started. Here's another sponsor success story. And this lady's name is Cynthia Frazier, and she saw that her kids and friends of her kids were getting into some trouble because they did not know how to use the internet safely. So she is sponsored by Verizon, and she teaches internet safety to families. And as it says, sponsors are helping to fund my dreams. Again, to see if you qualify for us to work together, please click on the link below to fill out a short questionnaire, and I or one of my team members will reach out to schedule a time for us to meet. And when we meet, we're going to discuss how much money you want to raise from sponsors and what sponsors are most likely to fund you. During our conversation, we can also discuss whether it's a fit for me to help you craft a customized sponsor proposal to raise $10,000 to $100,000 from your sponsors. In addition to helping you craft a proposal, we also offer a premium service where we can even reach out to prospective sponsors on your behalf. My name is Linda Hollander from Sponsor Concierge, and I look forward to discussing your goals and helping you transform your business and your life with corporate sponsors. Thanks so much.